Oh, hello everyone. Oh, thank you so much for all the extra tips for uses of vinegar. Some of those new tips you've shared I didn't know about, some of them I did, but it's great to see so much sharing in the comments. And, we can always learn from each other, which is wonderful. And somebody commented on these alder trees that we planted, I think it was about 5 years ago. Now, look at them. They're doing really, really well. They've soaked up so much water in this field. When they first went in, they were just little slips like this, about that kind of size. It's very thin little slips. I'd had to stick them in, and here they are. They've grown. Look at the girth on this now. They're doing very, very well. And it means that the willow that I had put in first, that was literally drowning, is now surviving and flourishing as well. And these alders go all the way along this perimeter with a few birch and oak and cherries in amongst them as well. And today now I've just added three more trees. We've got three apple trees here. They're in a nice straight line, so they'll be easy to pollinate. They're next to the beehives, and hopefully we'll have another food source. And speaking of food, I've just spotted those three-cornered leeks. So I think I'll just harvest some of these for our dinner tonight. Oh, lovely, lovely smell. They smell like onions, they smell like garlic. They're going to be so tasty. And I suppose this brings me to the theme of today's video, which is food. What are we doing? What are we doing? Go into any supermarket anywhere in the Western world, and there's probably only maybe 10% of real food in there, maybe 20%. You'll find real food in the fruit and vegetable section and in the meat section. But as somebody did comment on a documentary I was watching, that fruit and veg section in the supermarket is probably the most toxic of all due to the herbicides and pesticides and everything else that's thrown at these. And of course, they're not even fresh. They're kept in cold rooms for months and months on end so that we can eat out of season because we're so spoiled nowadays. So people might say, well, look at, it's food as long as we're eating something. But I'm afraid no, because just as you wouldn't put, I know, beef stew or scones and jam into your car, you choose the correct fuel. And so it should be for your own body. You need to put in the correct fuel, and that should be nutritious food. And the best way to do that is to grow it yourself, harvest it from the wild, because, Culpeper did say, and of course, Hildegard von Bingen said it long before him, that these wild foods are so full of energy and high frequency and potency and viriditas that they're really, really good for us. So just have a think about that. I'm going to tell you about a couple of studies that I've heard about. Oh, my babies are here. So, yeah, I'll just tell you about a couple of studies. There was a school in America which was an extremely dangerous school to the extent that the teachers had to carry weapons to make sure they could protect themselves. It was off the charts and nobody knew what to do. So a new headmaster, I believe, now I can't remember every detail because this is years ago, um, this new head teacher decided to change the diet in the canteen and see what would happen. So he got rid of the burgers and the fries and the fast food options, and he replaced it with organic salads and soups and stews. Very simple, very low cost. And within quite a short time, all the kids settled down and began to behave and began to take in what they were being taught. And I think within 3 years, they had gone to being at the very bottom of the scale to, the league of schools, to being up in the top half a dozen, I think, in terms of their educational achievements. and sporting achievements and everything. It was miraculous. So we can see that food obviously played a part in that. And then Patrick Holford, he's an English nutritionist, and um, he refers to studies. I'll put the links below. He refers to a study where young offenders who were repeatedly offending and they were in and out of, child prisons, whatever you call them, Borstals and things. And when they changed their diet, even just giving them orange juice, it made a huge difference to their behavior and to their ability to focus and concentrate and actually understand that they just couldn't continue offending all the time. So it's amazing. And then the other thing that I wanted to tell you, which I found so inspiring, was a young woman was being interviewed on Irish radio a number of years ago, and she was explaining that she was a single mother living in high-rise flats, very low level in society, at the poverty level, finding it very difficult. So she was using very cheap um, processed foods, throwing it into a deep fat fryer, and that's what she was using to feed her kids. But she said her life was just stuck because her kids, if they weren't messing in school to the point that they were in trouble all the time, they were off school with every bug that was going. And she realized that something had to change. So she stopped buying the processed food and started buying vegetables and living on vegetable soups and things and teaching herself how to use real food. And yes, it was expensive in comparison, but where could she go? She couldn't really go any further down, so she had to make changes. And her children improved, their health improved, they were getting on well in school, and it gave her the opportunity then to actually go off and become a mature student and get her own degree. So by the time she's telling this story, she is a winner and she's very articulate. She's no longer a woman locked in poverty with no way out. And it was all to do with changing her diet. So I really am a proponent of good food, good quality food. And it's necessary more than ever now because, if we don't get the good food into our brains, we can't make sensible decisions. And we've seen that over the last few years that people are just led along into all kinds of troubles. And if they had the faculty of um, sensible thinking and discernment, they would have made better choices. So people might say, oh, well, you're okay. You've got a bit of land, you've got a greenhouse. It's nothing to do with how much land you have. My current teacher is teaching me the biodynamic horticulture. He only has 1 acre and yet he supplies restaurants all over the country and feeds himself. So it's how you do it. And there are many, many people who live in towns and cities, may not have large gardens, but use a windowsill. And the only reason we have this greenhouse is because our windows are very small in the house and the windowsills are very narrow. So all of these seedlings would be all over the front porch so that you couldn't actually come into the house. And that's the only reason we built the greenhouse. Um, so if you're like me, before we had the greenhouse, there's other options. You can actually get your spring greens and your salads from outside for free. I'll show you a few plants that I'm thinking of particularly. Here's the three-cornered leeks that I mentioned earlier that we are having for supper tonight. And of course, this time of year, we've also got lots of wild garlic, full of nutrients, really going to give your immune system a big boost, ready to go into the next season of the year. And just so tasty and delicious. Really, absolutely delicious. Here we've got some dock. Now, this particular plant is a little bit too large now. But if you've got the smaller leaves, they're really tasty. You can put them into a salad as well. And again, they're just a way of getting healthy, fresh greens into you without any cost. You just have to find them, get them from a clean place, wash them. There's the nettle. Oh my God, there's loads of things here. Once you start looking, things are everywhere. But here we've got nettle, the most nutritious superfood, really, that you can get in this part of the world. Suitable for everyone, but particularly good for children who are growing because it's got so many nutrients and helps their bones to develop as well because of the calcium. So wonderful if you're trying to feed children, you can put this into soup. You can put the nettles into smoothies, chop them up. You can put them into, well, you can just use them like spinach and put them into, you know, stews and risottos and things like that. And then next to it here, we've got plantain. It's not a banana, as some people always think. It is plantago. This is ribwort plantain. You see all the ribs on the back of the leaves. And this is lovely. The young little leaves are very tender in salads. But again, you can cook with it, put it into soups and stews, use it as a vegetable, use it like spinach. And again, full of nutrients because it's one of those fresh spring herbs that are very beneficial at this time of the year. And, once you start looking, you find so many. Here's cleavers as well. Now, usually cleavers would be up and traveling by now, but we've been really knocked back by that storm, Owen. So it's just here. And cleavers makes delicious tea. If you want a lovely, fresh green tea, I don't mean green as in green tea. I mean that sense of greenness, that viriditas. And it's very, very cleansing. And again, you can use it just like spinach. It's like, when people say that if you eat snake or any of these bush kills, that they all taste like chicken. All these wild plants, you can just use them instead of spinach. So this is our polytunnel. We lost the plastic 2 years ago, and it's been a long story trying to get it replaced. And we finally did it a few days ago with the friends that are in our mehel or our work gang where we all get together. So there's a lot of work to do here now in clearing all the weeds, the couch grass, the docks that have come in, and get this place up and running again. But it's quite an important matter because we've heard a lot lately about food shortages are coming. Apparently, the EU has warned people in Europe to expect food shortages. So now this is the best opportunity we have to start growing our own food. So I would encourage everybody to speak to your local council because there's something called Agenda 2030, which is all about sustainable living and ecological stuff and environmental and green stuff. So what I would suggest, and so they're encouraging people to have their own gardens. So play them at their own game and take advantage of that. Go and demand a community garden. Get together with your friends and neighbours and relations and create a food garden for yourselves. Demand an allotment. And I'll put a link below, a woman giving a TED talk about the town she lives in England, where all the public spaces have been turned over to growing fruit and herbs and vegetables, and anybody in the community can just come and take what they need. So it can be done. It can be done if we grab the opportunity. So this is going to be part of our 2-year plan now in getting this back into some good kind of shape so that we can grow a bit more food. It probably won't take too long if we really get stuck in. So I'm going to start now by bringing out these docks. And I shall leave you with all my encouragement to do what you can and have a wonderful week till next time. Lots of blessings for health and happiness. I hope you enjoyed today's film. If you did, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. And have a look at the website danusirishherbgarden.com for more information about us and about the herbal medicine courses I offer and the Wise Woman Way training. And if you go to the shop, you can find the books, the weed handbooks and other herbal goodies. And remember, we put a new film out every Sunday. So looking forward to seeing you next week.